What is going down, everyone? It's time for Mojobreak.com, The Hype, episode 202. Yes, the number one podcast right here, Mojobreak.com podcast. Check out Mojobreak.com for your breaks, MojobreakShop.com for your sealed wax. We got another great episode. The NFL season is almost here. We're going to dive into some of the rookie and second and third and maybe even fourth-year quarterbacks and look at some of their prices, make our picks for sleepers, and just talk football today because there was some news that came out about football. We're going to dive into that as well. I'm joined by the crew, as always, Dan, C-Rad, Cody in the house. And we'll be your Huckleberries for the next 40 minutes of sports card talk. What's going down, Dan?
I'm back. I was in Pennsylvania.
That's right.
I was in Philly. Little Topps Transcendent party.
You flew out there just for a cheesesteak, huh?
Just for actually a damn good cheesesteak. I went, St. John's on South.
Okay.
So not even Pat's or Geno's?
Not even Pat's or Geno's.
Okay.
I did a little bit of research and felt that those were a little too commercial. So I went St. John's on South.
You went with the local recommendation is what you did.
I Googled it.
Oh, okay. The Google recommendation.
I did the Google machine. But, yeah, I mean, Topps had, I know we're talking football, but Topps had their Transcendent party. Bryce Harper was there. Bryce Harper is an absolute great interview. Really wished he would have actually came to the Giants. I did find out that when he was in free agency, it was between the Giants and the Phillies. The Dodgers came in late. He had no real interest to playing for the Dodgers, so it really was between the Giants and Phillies, and he did choose the Phillies because he kind of, I mean, he asked to say this, but I think he was like the fan base. He's like, they love their baseball. And I'm like, wait a second. Are you saying Giants fans don't love our baseball?
Damn, y'all would have had squad.
Well, I think the Phillies fans will fight for their team. Maybe the Giants will be passionate in other ways.
Well,
But,
they'll fight. They'll fight.
They'll literally fight.
That's
yeah, exactly.
no offense to the good, kind folks of Philadelphia who listen to this podcast. I'm sure you're wondering.
Yeah. Hey, wait.
But yeah, it was a great event. I mean, Doug has been to a handful of the Transcendent parties, and it did not disappoint. So props to Topps.
Oh, no, I'm a little jealous after seeing some of those pictures and hearing the stories and seeing the awesome cards. We'll actually throw up some of the images of the cards and the swag, the stuff we all get. Awesome. We'll throw that up on our Instagram so you guys can see what Topps did at that Transcendent event. I think C-Rad was placing a future bet for the Raiders here. That's what he was doing. Let's make a prediction. What's the record? As you're a Raider fan, take your fandom out of this.
15-2. Wait. Okay, go ahead.
That was the question. Yeah, what's the record going to be for the Las Vegas Raiders this year?
First year in Vegas, it's going to be a great season.
I'm surprised you said they're going to lose 2 games. That was going to be 17-0.
No. You got to be a little realistic.
He's like they'll lose 1 game in overtime, and then they like maybe when they're already clinched their division and the first seed. They'll put in the backup quarterback. They'll put in Mariota, so they'll give up that last week 17.
Or the one that they don't need.
Yeah, is it week 18? It's week 18.
It's week 18.
Week 18.
So 17 full games, 1 bye.
Yep. Is there 1 bye or 1 bye?
I think it's 1 bye.
1 bye week.
Yeah. 1 bye.
1 bye week.
And 1 last preseason.
Ooh, that could be tough. Like if you have a late bye or an early bye, that could mess you up.
In fact, if C-Rad's saying 15-2, I almost completely forgot. Yeah, it's a 17-game season.
I know you tried to do
year.
the math.
It's still hard to wrap my head around. Yeah, seeing like 16-1 now. If a team's like, you're not gonna. If you get 60 wins, you're not undefeated anymore. You're like,
yeah,
you're a 1-loss team. It's very
get Bliss J because that's the extra game is definitely gonna hopefully not affect too many players.
Surprised C-Rad didn't come in and go 21-0.
I mean, if you go through the history of the hype, we've been doing this for
winning it straight out.
We've been doing this for 4 years, and you guys have asked me at the beginning of every season. I'm pretty sure my answer has been.
Well, this is the first 15-2.
Okay, yeah.
This is the first 15-2.
What about for the Niners? What's your prediction, Doug?
2-15.
11-6.
Okay.
Jeez.
Not bad.
I mean, it's hard, and I get it. I get the fandom. I mean, you can't. It's hard to be realistic when you're a fan of that team, right? I mean,
you hope.
But we are ranked, I think, pretty high. I mean, I don't know. I think most cases they have us winning the NFC West. So I think 11-6 wins the NFC West.
Who are these people?
Just analysts,
Just
all the
all
the guys that know things.
all
I think-
the Niners season ticket holders.
Yeah.
Madden has the
Who have
Niners
blogs.
rated at 83 overall. I was like, damn, that seems kind of high, bro.
That seems kind of low. It should be like an 88.
Well, Buccaneers are the highest rated team in Madden, and I think they are like a 92.
I will give the Raiders this. They, as far as a quarterback room, they probably have the most depth in quarterbacks. It's
true.
Like you have Derek Carr. You have, and I mean, how many teams could say they have a player like Marcus Mariota as their number 2, and Nathan Peterman? Nathan Peterman could. There's teams that he can definitely be the backup quarterback.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, he looked fairly decent in your guys' preseason game. I think Carr hasn't seen any action. There's like 10 quarterbacks, I think, that have not played. Like Russell Wilson. I think Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones is playing this weekend. Another interesting Madden stat that you're bringing Madden. Actually have Daniel Jones faster than Russell Wilson.
Interesting. Maybe Russell's getting older.
Now I don't know if they have that. Like they have likely to fall.
I was gonna say. I think of. I mean, he's so fast. He just falls over sometimes.
I'm not placing a bet. I'm trying to get my rookie notes up here. Definitely unprofessional while I'm trying to get this.
But
right.
I think I don't know if the Raiders are gonna win that division, but I think there's a good chance the Raiders can make a wild card.
Yeah, Chiefs. It's a Chiefs division. It's.
I think the Raiders they probably finish second in that division.
Especially, there's an extra wild card this year as well, right? We got
Everybody makes the playoffs.
Yeah, everyone's making it. We got extra games, extra teams in the playoffs, or Capri Suns and Orange Slice for everybody.
And I've heard in the preseason they don't have overtime. The game will just end in a tie.
I didn't realize that. Good.
Yeah, they just started that as well. There's a lot of new, weird, and wacky rules.
What about all the
going on.
I mean, with that first, I mean, how many records get broken this year? I mean, you throw that extra game in there, and the rushing records in limbo. The touchdown record could be in limbo. The passing, I mean, all these records. Now, do you have an asterisk next to it? Do you say like, hey, this is the record, but it was a 17-game season, but we're only going to know 17-game seasons going forward.
But you had up until I think in the 70s they were running a 14-game season. So, I mean, this isn't the first. I mean, if it was up to the owners, it would be like a 24-game season.
Yeah,
they would like we want to play as much football as possible.
Yeah, it's a year-round football.
Just a year-round.
Jeez. Well, let's get into the news that I think everybody saw coming, but it's just the next domino to fall in the whole Fanatics saga of this hobby, and it's going to be the talk of shows like ours for the next 5-6 years. It'll probably be a topic once a month that we're just going to make basically speculations of what may or may not happen. And probably none of it will happen, but it'll be good banter and good content, and everybody's doing it, so why not? So NFLPA has partnered with Fanatics, along with the NBA that happened as well. So if you don't know, the Players Association for the NFL, the MLB, and now the NBA is partnered with Fanatics. And the NFL and the NBA, I believe, start in 25 and 26. I don't know which one is first, but it's 2025 for one and 2026 for the other. So basically, Panini has about a 5 to 6 year window to make products, and then we don't know what's going to happen at that point with Panini because they won't be able to use players' likeness on cards beyond that period because that is an exclusive with Fanatics. C-Rad, what me and Dan were able to talk about this last week on the emergency pod.
Yeah.
Now that you're here, I want to get your thoughts, and I want to hear you put your heart and soul into this.
I mean, initial thoughts, of course, was sadness. But I'm the type of person that I'm always optimistic, so I try to think of the positives. But obviously, I just got really sad when I heard about the news. Obviously, we've been through this as a hobby before with Panini taking the license from Upper Deck and Topps, right, with the football and basketball license. And we came out of that fine, but this is like this is another new situation where one company is going to own everything, right? The three major sports. So, people have been following me I'm sad about these. We don't know for sure if they're going to be by Fanatics is also going to purchase Topps and Panini down the line, and their brands and their names. All the brands that we've grown to love over the years. And for me, I'm just like, man, revolution, bro. I might not ever see you again.
Well, you will for a couple years.
Yes,
Yeah,
a couple more years. So overall, again, I'm pretty
At
optimistic.
C-Rad 6.5 on Instagram if you want to sell some Revolution cases. No.
C-Rad 6.5. Hit me up on Instagram. But I'm hoping with, obviously that they're putting a ton of money behind this, obviously Fanatics, and they're putting the right people, hopefully the right people in place to take the sports card hobby to an unknown future right now. We don't know what it's going to look like in 5-6 years from now. And like you guys said, all we can do is speculate, and I do hope for the best. It is sad, anytime an era ends, it's always sad, especially I really felt for the baseball collectors last week, honestly, because not a big baseball collector myself, but just that branding is something that you can't escape. That's just ingrained in our culture. Right. So with Panini, I don't feel as sad like Topps. I do with Topps in baseball, but I am still, there's pros and cons, but hopefully it works out.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I kind of came to grips with yesterday was, nobody's talking about the bubble bursting anymore.
Yeah,
that's a positive thing. Is that, if an $18 billion company saw success in the sports card category and did enough research to buy all these licenses, we are still booming in the sports card industry. So there's no bubble burst. That's one of the the positive points out of all this is the hobby is alive and stronger than ever. So we'll see what happens in the next 5 or 6 years. Dan, I know it was an inevitable situation. We already talked about it on the emergency pod, but with the NFLPA, what are your thoughts?
So I think everybody stay tuned. The Beckett Industry Summit is coming up in about 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Fanatics will be there. Panini will be there. All the major distributors will be there. And you can see the way Fanatics, they're being real quiet right now. Now, these stories are leaking out, but they're not being published or leaked out by Fanatics. I think they're going to use that platform at the Industry Summit to kind of share the news and maybe share what they think their future is going to be in the category.
Yeah.
They can't just be quiet. They can't have all these acquisitions happen and then just not say anything about it.
Right. I think they should have a meeting at the Palomino. They just meet together, discuss topics.
Don't Google search that.
If you know, you know. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I mean, they're going to be coming to the meeting of the minds there, and hopefully, something gets worked out where there's room for two of them. I mean, that's a dream scenario. It seems like, without Fanatics making a comment, that it's just a situation where it's just a tyrant now. I mean, it's just he's going to knock down whoever's in their way. It's just who's next, right? That's what it seems like right now.
But you have, Panini makes their speech and basically the state of the hobby from Panini's aspect. And there's a Q&A, a part of that. There always is. And you're telling me that you're going to get a bunch of dealers in there and they're going to raise their hand and they're going to be like, tell me what's going to happen.
Do you think you want to do a presentation right now?
I think
you have to.
It's on the schedule.
It's on
the schedule. It's set in stone. We're doing it.
It's going to be via.
we're not doing it.
It's going to be via video now. It's just going to be a screen of Jason Howarth back in Texas.
I think you have to. You have to let the industry and your customers know what the direction is going to be. Both Fanatics and Panini. Topps generally isn't at the summit. Leaf will be there. Brian Gray will definitely have some things to say.
He always does. He always has a lot of things to say.
But yeah, do you think there's going to be some type of announcement, or you think we're just going to walk around for 3 days and just speculate and come up with our own ideas? Or a little bit of both.
We're just going to be talking about it for the next 2 years without any answers. Because the thing about it is that Fanatics
way to be able to predict the future of the industry. If we're just we're not going to know.
The business side of this is all a chess game, right? And basically, Fanatics has made their move. They've acquired what they need to acquire. Mm-hmm. And don't forget, they actually started this whole thing with the Amazon exclusive. They're the only ones to sell on Amazon. So that helps right there with their distribution, along with the distribution centers they already have into place. If they're trying to acquire right now for pennies on the dollar with the news, but Panini knows they have 4 to 5 years, Topps has 2 to 3 years, they may be trying to gain some more equity within their brand before they sell. So why would you you're basically selling low right now if you're Panini or Topps. So why don't you just make them squirm for 2 to 3 years and go back and forth on negotiation, right? I mean, you don't just give it to the first offer, right? So they have, like, especially Panini, maybe not so much Topps, because Topps has the one license and their time period is shorter. But Panini has 5 or 6 years. They don't have to make a move. They don't have to say anything. They don't have to talk to Fanatics. Fanatics maybe request, but they don't have to do anything. They could be working on building more capital.
I get that, but the longer it goes, the less leverage Panini would have. The clock is ticking.
Yeah, I get that.
I mean, if you want to play hardball, Fanatics just goes, okay, cool. We will just literally wait out until you are on your last year.
Yeah, but if you're also at the same scenario, if you're Fanatics and you're planning on trying to use the Panini brands or trying to use the Topps brands, you probably want to get a running start to that too. You don't want to wait till 2025 to figure out what you're doing. So they need to kind of do something too. So
yeah, because we've been talking about it. It is going to be extremely difficult to start a trading card company up from the ground level.
Right.
Honestly, when Panini did it, Panini actually acquired a bunch of notable names in the hobby, notable like brands,
yeah,
where they were able to put their designs on it, but it still had a familiar branding to it, where we're not going to get that with Fanatics because all the IP is all owned by Topps and Panini. Fanatics is going to have to come out with some type of shiny basketball product.
Right.
Well, are they going to call it Fanatic Shiny? You're going to, obviously they're going to have marketing people who can come up with names and stuff like that. But you remember 09-10, the basketball design for Panini, not a lot of people were fans of it. They didn't really, again, you were dealing with the lockout as well. It was kind of an iffy time, but nobody goes back and goes, man, those early 9-10 products, those designs just really blew me away.
Right, and there was growing pains, but then also to counter your point is Prism was a new brand. They didn't take Topps Chrome basketball. They didn't be Panini Chrome. They have used like Inception designs and became Origins. But like, I don't know. Fanatics is one of those companies. If you look at their shirts, they've gotten rid of anybody else's branding. So there could be a situation where they're like, hey, we're not spending money. We're just going to create new brands. I mean, I don't know. Yes, that's going to suck big time. But they also seem like a forward-thinking company where they're not going to look back. So only time will tell. Like I said, this is going to be exhausting to listen to and talk about for the next 5 years.
We are going to deal with actually. When's the first license run out? It's 2023, and is it baseball?
Yes, no, Players Association baseball.
Players Association
and
baseball.
And then 2025,
so
I believe.
2023, we'll see at that point.
There's really no point of Topps making baseball cards anymore.
No.
Yeah, and Fanatics can make very similar to how Panini makes. So maybe that's what they do. They just have the Players Association. They airbrush the logos out. Don't know what Topps would do at that point because they would not be able to produce anything because they don't have the likeness.
They just have the logos, but
then
no players.
Logos. So I don't know unless
we've seen that before from Topps. Actually, it's pretty horrendous.
Yeah, I mean, unless they figure out a way to work together and maybe for 2 years they sublease the license out to Topps, but I can't see Fanatics wanting to do that because they made a big play. They're going to want to jump in
as soon as possible
and start generating some type of revenue from that category they just spent a crap ton of money on.
Yeah.
Well, let's move into collecting, talking about guys on the up and coming for NFL. And basically, I kind of broke my list down into like 10 guys that I could go up or down based on their performance this year. So I wanted to, kind of discuss because, obviously guys like Mahomes and Brady and Rodgers, those guys are kind of untouchable. I mean, you could buy them and they're probably safe investments, but there's not really a lot of movement between their prices. So specifically, I wanted to look at Kyler Murray, Lawrence, Dak, Jones, Fields, Trey Lance, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Tua, and Jalen Hurts. Those are like the top 10 guys that are probably going to play, and we'll see their values kind of move up and down throughout the season. Now, I want to kick this right back to Cody. Which name sticks out to you first when you were making this list?
I mean, the guy that I think stands out the most is Kyler, still, of these sort of young guys that are up and coming in the hobby and on the football field. He's just the most dynamic talent, had the most hype, I think, surrounding him of all these guys, other than maybe Trevor Lawrence. I would say maybe second is probably Lawrence and some of these guys that have been drafted this year. But for me, it's still Kyler. He's in the best situation. I think that team is just about ready to make that big push, that big leap forward, especially with the moves they made this offseason.
Yep.
On the defensive side as well, not just on the offensive side of the ball. Yeah, man, he's just an exciting and dynamic player that I think that it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, and I mean, they have the 11th ranked offense. I mean, D-Hop, A.J. Green, J.J. Watt that they signed as well. The only problem I have with Kyler, and me and Dan both have a lot of Kyler cards and some big ones at that, is the division. He could be swallowed up in that division. He could lose to the Rams twice, which, I mean, probably is not going to happen. Definitely going to lose to the Niners twice.
It does every year, though. But
lose to the Niners twice, lose to the Seahawks twice. I mean, right there, that could be 6 losses. I mean, if they split, it's just such a tough division. I almost wish, for the sake of investing in Kyler, that he was in another division, like really any of them. Like throw him in the Cowboys, like with the Eagles, Cowboys.
Man, you guys got a tough division, don't you?
I mean, it could go any way. I mean, the only team I feel like really didn't do much in an improvement is the Seahawks. I mean, but they got Russell Wilson, so it doesn't really matter. You have anybody on the field with Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
He's like one of those. He's like Aaron Rodgers. When they're down by 28, Russell Wilson has got a chance to bring it back. Yeah, I mean, Kyler's still the guy I feel most comfortable investing in. I do like Trey Lance, obviously, for the Niners. But I'm trying to take my homerness out of this. But I'm going to kick it to Dan. I mean, out of the list of guys that we're looking at here, which name kind of jumps off the board?
I always been a huge fan of Kyler. But I think this is a year where Kyler has to be a part of a winning team.
Yeah, it's a make or break.
He needs to be able to make the playoffs. They don't need to make a run, but they have to he has to get a playoff game underneath his belt. Besides that, I think I think Joe Burrow is a guy that I'm really high on. I don't think he has the amount of pressure that Kyler has to get to the next level. He can put up a good year.
So you like Burrow over Herbert?
I like Burrow over Herbert. Yeah, absolutely. I think if Burrow stays healthy, I think he and I think the Bengals could be a decent team. They can be I was going to say 500.
I don't think this is the year for the Bengals, honestly.
I don't think it's the year for the Bengals, but I think if he stays healthy, he can put up great stats and they can be a competitive team. But again, he doesn't have the pressure that Kyler Murray has to get to the next level. So he can have a good statistical year, not make the playoffs, and I think his card value will go up. Wait, yeah. Kyler can we've already seen him put up good statistical years, but you got to take that next jump as a professional quarterback and be good for your team, and your team needs to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I agree. Like I said, I wish he was in another division. And his accuracy isn't quite there yet. Drawing comparisons to Vic, but obviously the speed is incredible. The arm strength is incredible. Just the accuracy hopefully gets better this year. Now, I wanted to kind of fast forward to the 2021 rookies as we have in this slide here, and it's very interesting. And I'm glad Cody picked these 3 here because we got the first 3 picks. We have Trey Lance, Trevor Lawrence, and Zach Wilson, and we were actually able to find the data on some Prism, some Mojos. And you have Trevor Lawrence at 3,805 for a number to 25 Mojo Prism.
Collegiate, right?
Collegiate, correct. Let me clarify that. And a Zach Wilson at 3,750, and these are all PSA 10s. And Trey Lance at 3,057. I want to kick it over to C-Rad. Anything surprising to you in those numbers?
Yeah, it's surprising to me that Lance and Wilson is even that close to Lawrence in terms of pricing.
Yeah.
Do you think Lance is too high, or you think Wilson's too
low? I think both of them are too. I think both of them are too high compared to Lawrence. Lawrence should be the key guy right this year that people are probably mainly collecting.
It is, yeah.
And I've been watching the Wilson Wilson cards because he's somebody that I'm looking into this year that I actually like, but generally his prices are way softer than Lawrence prices. So I mean I get it. It's a PSA 10 mode, and these are all numbered to 25. So, but that's surprising to me.
Yeah, you would think that Lawrence would be at least like 1.5 times the amount. Like maybe he'd be 45 or he'd be 38, and the other guys would be like 2,500. It's very surprising that they're so close. And I mean, if you look at the teams though, the best scenario, but we just don't know if he's going to start, is Trey Lance. I mean, the Niners have the 9th-ranked offensive line. The Niners have arguably one of the best defenses in the league. Coming off, obviously, last year they were hurt and they didn't have a great record. There was a lot of injuries. But, I mean, compared to the Jaguars, just lost Travis Etienne, which we'll talk about Jerome Robinson coming up as well. And Zach Wilson, Robert Sala's over there, new coach. I think Mekhi Becton is in concussion protocol now. Who knows how long that is, but that's one of their stud offensive linemen. I think those two teams are still kind of working around being good. I think the Niners are poised to win now. At least they're trying to, regardless of what happens on the field and injuries and all this stuff. I don't know. I almost feel like Trey Lance should be a little bit higher. Maybe Trey Lance is a good investment, but I don't want to put my homer hat on too much here. But if you're looking at a guy that could possibly be injected on a team and win, it'd be Trey Lance.
I mean, I actually think what it tells me is the perceived market for this quarterback rookie class is through the roof.
Yeah.
And all of those guys, and you can throw in Justin Fields and Mac Jones in there as well, like they are all going to sell for a premium, and it could be all season long.
Yeah.
And there could be 1 week you say maybe Trey Lance has a great game. He throws for 3 touchdowns, and then his cards spike. And then the next week, Lawrence throws for 4 touchdowns, and then his cards spike. And then Mac Jones maybe wins 4 or 5 games in a row, and then his cards peak. They could literally be jockeying all year between who is actually outselling each other. So
yeah, it's going to be interesting. That's why it's really it's a fun year for football, but there's these 10 guys are going to move up and down all season based on their performance. And everybody does lean towards the rookies. So, if you've got Justin Fields, who's maybe 4-5 or something compared to Justin Herbert, who's 5-5, I think still people are going to still lean towards the rookie rather than the guy that's already been in the league and his cards aren't coming out. So you got to keep that in mind if you're collecting football, that, some of these guys from 2 or 3 years ago are really volatile unless they actually put up big numbers and big highlight plays.
And that could also be a good time to buy as well. So if you do believe in Justin Herbert, right, and say he comes out and Chargers are a little banged up, they're 1-5. Well, his cards will go down.
Right.
Especially with the new crop of rookies that you're going to see. Like you said, people tend to gravitate towards the new rookie class.
The unknown is what this industry thrives on.
If a Joe Burrow or a Herbert start off really slow, it's a prime opportunity, if you believe in those guys, to maybe make a purchase.
So I wanted to kind of dive into some of the 2020 rookies in high end. We're going to kind of look at some of their high end numbers. We've got on the slide here, and if you're on the audio podcast, we've got a 2020 National Treasures Tua rookie patch auto. Granted, it's raw, sold recently for $4,750. A Joe Burrow raw. This one's a number to 25, so a little bit lower number than the Tua. $15,000. A Justin Herbert numbered out of 25, sold for $23,000. So obviously the big name ticket, which you guys that have been collecting last year know, is those two guys, Burrow and Herbert. They came out of the gate number 1, and they kind of remain number 1. Dan, the lefty, Tua. Would you rather own 1 Joe Burrow or 4 Tuas?
4?
Well, 3.
3. That's 4, yes. 3, man, I actually look at that and I think that's undervaluing Tua.
I mean,
the Dolphins were not that bad.
They made the playoffs.
I think Tua is
they got
best.
close, right?
Yeah, they got close.
They got
really close. I think Tua is the best short term out of
Tua
those
had
three.
He had a couple bad weeks.
Yeah.
He had a couple weeks where because Fitzpatrick was he was on the Dolphins last year, right?
Yep.
And they kind of like, I think at one point Tua got benched. They brought in Fitzpatrick, and then Tua ended up going back in at some point. They kind of were revolving those two players back and forth. But I think Tua is at $4,700. I think he's undervalued. Now I think Herbert is extremely overvalued. I think $23,000 for an 8.5, even though it is numbered to 25, is insane.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree that Herbert's overvalued. I don't believe, I don't know if and he's a fellow lefty like myself, but you know, they didn't really improve that offensive line last year. They're still, they were really unsure of Tua by putting him in and pulling him out, and it just kind of didn't seem like, I mean, I don't know, if you're going to start him, then why not leave him in? I didn't get what they were doing there. So I just don't trust that process in a sense that, like, I hope they didn't mess up his psyche where he's like got an Alex Smith situation where he needs to go into another team to get. I mean, I know it was a very short kind of thing that happened with him. Now Herbert, I mean, they have the 18th ranked offensive line, and their defense is really good. The defense might keep him in games if Herbert has some issues finding players. Also, I mean, Herbert has Keenan Allen, I guess, which has got to be 10th season.
And they lost Hunter Henry.
That's right.
Hunter Henry is a Patriot now.
And then, can you name a receiver on the Dolphins?
Devontae Parker?
Well, did they just draft, what's his name, Waddle?
They have Waddle.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that might be something. That might be something to watch, I think, with both Tua and Burrow, with Jamar Chase as well. Devontae Smith with Jalen Hurts. Like, 3 of the 4
it's funny
top
how that worked
QBs
out.
got big-time receivers in the top 10 of the draft.
That went to their alma maters, too.
But generally, receivers, their first year learning the playbook, they don't usually jump in and it just clicks right away. You see a lot of receivers. I mean, granted, like a player like Julio Jones, his first year, he was great. But those guys are few and far between. You look at a guy like Henry Ruggs last year. He struggled as a rookie. So you don't see that, like, that seamless jump from college to the pros for that receiver position as you see in even quarterback. A lot of like Herbert played in a pro style at Oregon, and it was kind of an easy transition into the NFL. So I would be reluctant to say you got a stud rookie receiver that's going to make this young quarterback a lot better.
I think the one thing, though, to point to, like Doug said, the fact that these guys are coming in, and maybe these teams knew that when they were drafting these receivers, like Burrow, like these guys were teammates back in college. So there is an instant rapport. But yeah, there will probably be some growing pains. There always is. But maybe if you are kind of thinking about which of these second-year guys to look at, I think that should be taken into consideration.
Yeah, I mean, and you have, for as far as receivers, you can have a great career in college, but you don't necessarily have the top defensive back you're going against every week in and week out. Like, Jamar Chase might be great, but there's going to be times he's going to have to line up to a guy like Jalen Ramsey,
right?
Which is he probably has never seen that type of caliber player have to cover him before. So
absolutely. Yeah, you know, another guy we didn't even put on the slide that's, you know, I'm starting to think that might be a pretty good bargain is Jalen Hurts. So recent sales of Jalen Hurts' true RPA of National Treasures, $2,700.
Undervalued.
So, and you got a guy, I mean, looked great last year. He's got a lot of talent. Their team around him's not bad. I mean, they believed in him so much, they let Wentz go. They didn't even try to fight for Wentz. I mean, the Wentz era is over. They were putting all their faith basically in Hurts. And they got, what did you mention, Devontae Smith, right?
Yeah. What worries me, though, about Hurts, and I liked Hurts at the end of the year, but the Eagles made that trade for Wentz, and I feel like they've been involved in trade rumors for other quarterbacks who might be on the market.
Yeah.
So they don't seem totally committed to Jalen Hurts at the moment. He is going to have to prove a lot in the first couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Is Nick Foles available?
Yeah, he might make his way back there.
I don't know. In fact, he might be on the team right now, and none of us even know he's back to like being the second or third string guy and ready to go again.
And then we're getting a little close on time. I did want to mention that we are running a great discount code it's a flash sale. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking about buying sealed wax, go to fanatics.com. Use code HYPE200. We're still celebrating the 200th episode, and that'll save you 10% off anything on the site. Only works for Mojobreakshop.com. Don't try it on Mojobreak.com. But our prices are already fantastic on there. They're already lower than most online retailers. And you can save another 10%. So load up. I mean, we got some great deals on football, soccer, baseball, basketball. You can find better than everybody else and then save even more, 10%. Load up. Get yourself some boxes. Maybe you even can break them. I mean, if you're a breaker, well, jump in and you might find a better deal than buying it from some of your distributors. So jump on Mojobreakshop.com. I wanted to get back into 2019, which I feel like the 2019 rookie class out of the last 4 years is the most affordable when it comes to value. And I want to look at these quarterbacks. We already talked about Kyler. We didn't talk a whole lot about Daniel Jones other than his Madden talk. But we've got the main quarterbacks out of that class. Drew Lock, probably not a great investment now that they named Teddy Bridgewater the starter. You've got Dwayne Haskins, who's intriguing because he did show some leadership in the offseason. He's had some good workouts. He's shown a little bit of greatness in preseason. And he's behind a guy that who knows how much time he has, right? When Ben Roethlisberger, we don't know how long Ben Roethlisberger is going to play. He's the last 2004 quarterback, I think, standing, right? I mean, he's the last guy. All the other ones have retired. So it's intriguing with his being, if you're seeing the slide now, his Dwayne Haskins Silver Prism, 249. Drew Lock Silver Prism, 345. Somebody got lucky on that one. Daniel Jones Silver Prism, 997, and Kyler Murray Silver Prism at 2,225. The Giants, I was kind of looking at Daniel Jones, but their offensive line is like the worst in the league. So hopefully Saquon can duck and dodge a little bit and open that up for Daniel Jones, which they did get Galladay. And they've usually had some great receivers. Danny Dimes can chuck it. I'd say Danny Dimes is worthy of a flyer, investing some of his cards. Any other thoughts on this 2019 class here? I'm not sold on Daniel Jones.
But it's like Kyler or bust. Dwayne Haskins, I do like. You investing into Dwayne Haskins, you're kind of rooting for an injury. I don't like that. I don't like rooting for Ben Roethlisberger to get hurt.
Yeah.
Plus, there's that age-old argument that his rookie cards are on Washington. He's now on Pittsburgh. Is that going to affect the value? Who knows? Mike Tomlin is a guy who wins football games. He's a coach who even if Roethlisberger did get hurt and Dwayne Haskins would have to come in, they would still, I think, be a playoff team.
Yeah.
And Tomlin will work to his team's strengths. If that's having Dwayne Haskins air it out or them running the ball 40 times a game, he'll figure it out.
Definitely. Yeah, and we do have we're going to announce our giveaway from last week here soon. We are going to be doing another giveaway this week for $150 in site credit for Mojobreak.com, where all the breaks go down. We're doing certified as we speak. We've got a lot of stuff coming out. We're still doing National Treasures basketball, which is the greatest product of the year. We're doing Spectra basketball. Everything is on the site. If you are into cards, Mojobreak.com, we're breaking everything. Soccer, F1. Check it out. So we're going to give you $150 site credit to one lucky winner who comments on this video here on Mojo Break Media and picks their quarterback out of the ones we just talked about, whether it be Kyler, Daniel Jones. Hey, even if you want to say like Ian Book or something, I don't care. Just put the quarterback that you want to invest in, one of the younger guys. Don't put like Aaron Rodgers or, Peyton Manning or Tom Brady.
How about Sam Darnold?
Sam Darnold's interesting, too, in Carolina. I mean, that's 18. And we were going to talk a little bit about –
I know it's 18, but Sam Darnold getting a fresh start, you never know.
Yeah, never know.
And, I mean, it's basically going to be his spot to lose, right? They're gonna roll out there with him.
They're going to roll out there with him. And, he has all those accolades that he got in college. The Jets were kind of a mess with Adam Gase there. I feel like he didn't have a whole lot of weapons. Yeah, they did bring in basically a broken Le'Veon Bell after he couldn't sign with the Steelers. But he didn't really have any receivers outside of Robbie Anderson. And, maybe a change of scenery is going to be fresh, like another Alex Smith situation. But he does have a big arm, and did well in college, so we'll see. So, yeah, we didn't even mention him. He's like a notable name. But some guys that are like sleepers, I wanted to get into, the news of Travis Etienne kind of cleared the way for James Robinson. And if you look at the prices on RPAs of some of last year's running backs, which wasn't a really big class of running backs, you've got 2020 National Treasures Jonathan Taylor RPA that went for $1,275, and you have the same RPA for James Robinson that went for $400. So there could be a short-term. I don't believe in running backs and wide receivers for long-term, but there could be a short-term play with James Robinson. With rookie quarterbacks, they usually hand the ball off more than they throw. So James Robinson might be a good play. Their line's not that great. Reasons Jonathan Taylor did so well is the Colts are the number 1 ranked PFF offensive line. So, with the former Notre Dame kid heading that up, there's no surprise that Jonathan Taylor is probably the favorite running back protege going in.
But Marlon Mack had a good year as well.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. I think that they had one other guy who actually got injured. But, yeah, that's the key. You've always seen that with teams that have great offensive lines. Just invest in their running back.
Yeah. So it's true. Elliott might be a decent investment. I know his stuff. I bet you could get Elliott for almost as cheap as the same price as Jonathan Taylor. That's what's crazy about running backs. And I always say, and the industry's constantly changing, I would never pay over $1,000 for any wide receiver or running back not named Jerry Rice or Emmitt Smith or Barry Sanders. I just don't see long-term value, especially the way the NFL is. It's all about the quarterback, but things may change. But I'm not saying that there's not a play that you can do on these guys, that you can pick it up one week, he gets 2 touchdowns, and then you could flip it the next week. So I feel like right now James Robinson is definitely undervalued. And he was one of those guys, if you remember, not a rookie premier guy.
So he didn't have a ton of autos.
Was definitely in contenders and obviously national treasures, but wasn't in stuff early. So maybe a little bit more scarcity in his market. So, and like I said, you got to figure Trevor Lawrence is going to be handing the ball off at least 50% of the time. They don't want to have the quarterback running and gunning in his first couple games, and he was named the starter. So, and then we're going to end it off looking at some of Dak's prices. I know Dan's been high on Dak. I'm on board with Dak. It's America's team. Something to be said about, visibility when you're on the Cowboys, good and bad. When you're doing good, to the moon. Obviously, when you're doing bad, it's a very big roller coaster of pricing. But $980 for a Gem 10 silver rookie compared to Mahomes is like $15K, right? 10 to $15K. The RPA, though, is a little surprising. It is numbered to 10, but a $30,000 offer accepted for a Dak National Treasures RPA.
Yeah, you got a lot. You always have a lot of eyeballs on the Cowboys, but even more so right now with Hard Knocks. It's the Hard Knocks bump, right? Yeah. Every team that ends up being on Hard Knocks during the preseason, it seems like the card market goes along with whatever storyline they're trying to represent in the Hard Knocks. And obviously they're talking about Dak and they're talking about Zeke. Dak is trying to get healthy. He's got a little shoulder issue, but it obviously is not affecting his prices at the moment. That is 2016, correct?
Yes.
So this is where it gets a little confusing with Panini and Prisms. Every rookie is a silver.
Right.
So now you get 2 silvers a box.
Right. But there's probably the same amount of silvers because they made it a lot less. There wasn't fast break or retail.
True, but every single rookie that you get out of the, was it 15, 16, 17?
Yes.
Maybe even earlier. Maybe 12 was the first year of Prism.
Yeah. I don't remember how that worked out.
So let's just say 12 through 17. Every rookie that you got was a silver Prism. Not the case. Actually, I think it was 18 where they changed it and you had we had 1 silver per box.
And then I think it was the same in 19, but then in 20 they went to 2 silver.
They went to 2. So much harder to get a rookie silver. So that's why you look at the Kyler Murray and it was $2,700 or something like that.
Not a bad deal.
So
$2,200.
So keep that in mind. $2,200. It's actually $2,200 for that card, being how hard it is to pull, is undervalued.
And maybe if somebody in the comments who's watching this can look at the pop report on those, because that'll tell us. I mean, they may be similar pop reports because of the amount of prism that was produced in 19 compared to the least amount of prism that was produced in 16.
And then you had was it Prism Choice this year that had a rookie silver in every box?
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that also kind of makes it look, because they didn't have Prism Choice back in 2016.
Only the hobby that I could remember. I don't even think they had retail SKUs.
They might have had retail SKUs.
I don't think so. I think it was literally only the hobby that they made in 16.
Interesting.
16 feels like so long ago, and I don't know why Dak seems like a spring chicken compared to Goff to me, and I know they both came out the same year. But
so did Wentz.
I know, but it feels like Dak is still, because he didn't play, he's been hurt and stuff like that. I feel like he's still in that sophomore, freshman kind of junior category. He's not, because he's 16 and we're going into year 5 now of his. But I just feel like he just hasn't played enough games to consider like a KG vet like a Jared Goff or a Wentz.
I think if you look at Goff and Wentz and Prescott, you gotta unanimously, it has to be the guy with the most upside out of those three has to be Dak Prescott.
Well, the other two guys aren't even on the same teams anymore. So.
Yeah, I mean, and Jared Goff is going to be the starter for the Lions.
Yeah.
We know that. Carson Wentz battling injuries a little bit. He should be the starter for the Colts, but is Carson Wentz going to be able to put together a full season without getting injured? That is one thing about Jared Goff. Jared Goff is durable. Like him or not, he is out there every week.
Right.
But we'll see. And Dak, I think Dak, the main issue last year, his injury was kind of a fluke. I think he was like scrambling and basically tore his ACL or PCL, MCL, maybe all three of them.
Yeah.
The chances of that happening again, highly unlikely. I mean, knock on wood for Dak Prescott. But I think with that division being not a great division and probably one of the worst divisions in football last year, they can make a run. They should. Yeah. The Cowboys, if Zeke and Dak stay healthy, there is really no doubt that they should win that division.
Yep, absolutely. That about concludes the show, but we probably do need to name the winner from last week's contest for episode 201. And obviously, you guys comment below on your quarterback for the $150 in group break credit. And who do we got? Who's the winner, Cody?
Our winner, what was it? The Allen and Ginter?
2020. Yep.
Terry Wickstrom is our winner. So hit us up on Mojobreak.com. Hit up the contact us page. Send us your info, and we'll mail out your prize to you.
Yep, and that is it. Like I said, Mojobreak.com for your breaks. We got everything breaking. We got lots of crazy stuff. Conrad just did a huge break that had Eminence and Flawless and National Treasures. Lots of new releases coming out. We still got a lot of Topps Chrome Baseball. We're still doing some golf. We're still doing soccer. Still doing hockey. I mean, there's just something for everybody on Mojobreak.com that's breaking. You can grab your team. If you prefer to get into a random, you can get into that as well. We even do random numbers to keep the price down. And everything is scheduled and guaranteed to break. So unlike maybe some of these newer breakers where you jump in and you're like, I'm waiting 2 weeks to get my break done, everything is scheduled and guaranteed to fill, and we're rocking 7 days a week. We're also live on Instagram now as well, doing personal rips, so you can jump on Instagram and check that out. And once again, use the code HYPE200 for mojobreakshop.com for your sealed wax. Save 10% on already low prices on mojobreakshop.com. Just give it a look. I'm sure you can find something. We have obscure stuff on there already at low prices, and then take it another 10% off. And there's no limit. If you want to load up your cart and put $10,000 worth of stuff in your cart, you'll save $1,000, right? So get in on that at mojobreakshop.com. And until next week, we'll see you guys later for the hype. Peace.